Health savings accounts are the only vehicle that give you a tax deduction when you contribute, grow tax-free, and come out tax-free when used for qualified health expenses.
For those of you who can pay your medical expenses out of pocket, we're going to talk about how you can use your HSA and one strategy to level it up even further. I'm Allison and I'm a CFP.
I'm Ben, I'm a CRPS, and this is the Abundance Mindset Podcast. So this is our third, I believe, episode on health savings accounts already. I think this is episode 53 or 54. So obviously we're big fans. And there's other things we've talked about. We're crunchy people. We like buying health and wellness things, and we like good tax strategy too. So these accounts come up often.
Yes, there's nothing better than buying something without paying taxes.
I'll admit sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it's deductible. It's like it's free, right? It's like, well, I mean, unless your tax rate's 100%. So this episode, I think, is actually our third go around on health savings accounts. We did just kind of an overview episode of all the different ways you can use it for crunchy health and wellness things. We looked at some of the changes that occurred, which short version, generally they're expanding over time, but they expanded even more starting in 2026. You can listen to that episode to get into the details on it, but we really like HSAs. I think as a planner, it's fun to have a tool in the toolbox that is triple tax advantaged.
There are a lot of things that bring me personal joy that we've bought out of our HSA that are definitely within, the health and wellness or crunchy realm. So there's some unique uses and of course, who doesn't love a triple tax deduction? But today we're going to talk about a strategy that, is kind of even a next level for people who have really high cash flow, and high cash in general, who might want to leverage their HSA in a different way, and think about it in a different way as a part of their overall financial plan. So triple tax deduction. So just as a reminder how this works for people who maybe aren't swimming in this verbiage every day. When you put money in, you get a tax deduction, right? So an in your immediate reduction of income, that tax deduction. And then tax-free growth. So in a lot of employers now, or, HSAs, they'll allow you to invest. And so you've put the money in, you've got a deduction, and then it grows tax-free. And if you are investing that HSA, which we recommend you get help investing that, you are able to then experience tax-free growth, right? So if you're viewing it as long-term and aggressive, right, and getting a mix of industry funds in there, that growth, if it grows from 10,000 to 15,000, that 5,000 is tax-free. And then the third and the triple tax deduction is the distribution. So upon distribution, you are able to withdraw those funds tax-free. No matter, what the investments grew to, they can be withdrawn tax-free for medical expenses. A tax-free distribution is one of the most sought-after levers in a financial plan. There is nothing that says flexibility than a tax-free distribution because it doesn't affect your income that year. You're able to manipulate so many other things from a tax perspective when you are able to withdraw tax-free from an account.
Yep. Last two definitions, just for those not as familiar. So a health savings account, what we're really talking about today. These accounts haven't been around for forever. They were established in 2003. They have the triple tax advantage that you're mentioning, Allison. And they are importantly, you're only allowed to add to one if you are enrolled in a high deductible health plan. What that means, a high deductible health plan is, it's really it has to be health insurance, right? So the IRS requires you to be enrolled in a ACA compliant health plan that has a minimum annual deductible of $1,700 for individual coverage or $3,400 for family coverage in 2026. While capping out-of-pocket costs at $8,500 and $17,000 respectively. So effectively, you need to have coverage that is doesn't kick in until higher amounts, so $1,700 or $3,400, and then most plans, it's something to keep an eye on, but most plans are going to cap their costs below that threshold that the IRS sets. So you have to be in this band of coverage to be eligible for a health savings account, and that's because they were purposed for people to be able to better afford paying for more healthcare out of pocket because healthcare has gotten egregiously expensive a lot faster than inflation over the last several years and decades. So, let's talk about the ways that you can use a health savings account.
Yeah, let's discuss this in levels. Level 1, 2, 3. So level 1, you're using your HSA, you're getting the in-year deduction, and you're spending out of that account for medical expenses. That's a perfectly acceptable way to use an HSA, and ultimately there's planning within that too. Let me just add a caveat to level 1. For people who are deciding between low deductible, high deductible, they say, "Oh, I'm going to use my health insurance this year. Maybe I should switch to the low deductible." Well, what if the maths where actually using the high deductible plan, which gives you eligibility for an HSA, what if that deduction, that maxing an HSA is more valuable than paying, than the difference of the premium and amount you'd pay out of pocket for a low deductible plan?
Yeah, 100%. Also, don't discount that many, not all, employers add to your HSA in some capacity. Sometimes there will be a match and kind of almost like a free will, like, $500,000, $1,500 gift, if you will, from your employer, or just benefit into your HSA. So, yeah, you definitely want to add in the health savings account deduction as well as employer match or bonus, if you will, when comparing health plans.
Yeah, so you can tell. I mean, we're just breezing over level 1. We've kind of addressed that in other episodes, but level 1, there's a decent amount of planning here.
Yeah, well, and also should probably say, like, high deductible health plans are generally for either those whose cash flow can support more medical expenses and or those who don't expect or don't typically have high medical expenses. It's such a personalized analysis, and
Mhm.
there are certainly people for whom a copay plan is a better choice because they just know, for whatever variety of circumstances, like health is complicated, and they might just know that, yeah, I'm gonna need a little more care this year, and the math just doesn't quite math for them.
Yeah. Level 2 is I think about Andrew because Andrew is definitely a level 2 fan for his personal plan, and he likes to grow that HSA. So, you know, he's using the HSA, he's maxing the HSA, and he is investing the HSA. And what he's not doing, different from level 1 is he's trying not to spend out of it. He's trying to grow that thing, as big as possible because he's taking advantage of that tax-free investment growth.
Right, and he also, so paired with that, right, he has a long time horizon for the account, so he has confidence, so
Mhm.
he has cash set aside to say, "Hey, if there's a medical emergency, if I need to
Mhm.
spend up to my deductible, if I need to spend up to my out-of-pocket max, I'm comfortable paying for that out of cash," and that gives him then the confidence for his personal plan to invest aggressively, right, and
Mhm.
say, "Okay, there's gonna be market downturns, there's gonna be market growth, speaking historically, I should see the most return by investing aggressively. So I'm going to do that
Mhm.
with my health savings account because I see this as a growth vehicle, not a spending account."
Right.
Yep. And a lot of people stop here, and this is a great place to be. And you might also just get here because you're pretty healthy and you just don't spend that much money on healthcare. And that's great too. Like, what a blessing.
Mhm.
So this is where you have an HSA that is growing. And again, like we mentioned, most, if not, I actually haven't run into a health savings account in recent memory that doesn't have some kind of investing feature. Talk to me if you find one that that you can invest in. We can figure out some alternatives for you. But yeah, make sure you invest appropriately based on your usage, but this is great for somebody who, yeah, has the excess cash flow, gets the maximum tax deduction, and then either because they're healthy or because they commit to spending out of pocket for medical expenses, this account grows over time for them.
Yeah, level 2 is a great place to be. I think it's mainly just making sure that the planning around the investments, choosing the investments, rebalancing the investments each year, there's a strategy, a professional strategy. But the level 2 is a great place to be. Yeah, I think of Andrew, I think of, even another financial advisor friend of mine. She's like, I'm not spending my HSA. She saved in that thing years and years and years because she wanted to just get to pregnancy and birth, and she had 70, 80 grand in her HSA, and we're in our 30s, right? And I mean that's pretty much maxing it out and investing it,
Yeah.
all the years prior. So um and that is the most flexible place you can be. And so you can kind of shift back and forth between level 1, level 2 depending on where you're at in life as well.
Yep. Yeah, and health savings accounts haven't been around for too long, but I've yet to run into somebody who has built up their HSA so much that they're like, "Oh, well, I don't have medical expenses to spend this on over the course of
Mhm.
my life. Like you just like healthcare just gets more expensive faster than inflation unless something changes drastically. And then, yeah, as you get older, like you just typically need a little bit more help. If you get to 65 and you're on Medicare and you haven't yet drawn down an HSA, you can also use the account to pay for medical premiums. So I have, I've yet to see a scenario where I'm concerned about somebody having reasonable uses for their health savings account.
Yeah. I've never thought, "Oh, you have too much in your HSA." And you're right, Ben, Rick Warren, he says, "These young people, they're spending their health on wealth, and all these older people, they're spending their wealth on health." And I think, there's a balance. But having a large HSA can only help you.
Yeah. So yes, level 2 is a great place to be. We'll get to level 3 in just a moment, and that's where the optimizers really, sharpen their pencils. But before we get there, like leveling up, that's generally what we help people do. And oftentimes people come to us because they're learning about things like health savings accounts. There's a myriad of other topics, and they want to make sure that all the pieces of their financial life are working correctly together. They want to level up. That's our specialty, and we offer free strategy assessments to anybody who is trying to kind of fit the pieces together of their plan. They're saying, hey, I'm learning about this, I'm learning about that. I don't know if an aggressive HSA investment strategy is right for me. I'm not sure exactly how to invest it. There's so many different reasons, but we're currently offering, free conversations to just look at your personal circumstances, help you figure out what makes sense for you. Strategy assessments can be requested via our website, and we'll leave that link in the show notes.
Perfect. So level 3. Level 3, I'll just give you this caveat. It's exciting to talk about. That's why we're doing a podcast on it. But it's just one strategy. And in order to use this strategy, you need to be in a specific set of circumstances. One, you have to be a detailed, organized person. I'll just tell you that right now. And two, you do need to have, a large influx of cash. You have enough cash in hand, but you have the cash flow to sustain this kind of level, this kind of strategy.
Yeah. And I'll say number 3, you have to also probably have a pretty good CPA and be in good conversation with them.
Mhm.
Actually, as you're saying this, this is random, but there's an advertisement for Nebraska tourism that I saw a few years ago. And it just like on a billboard, it was like, Nebraska, it's not for everyone. And that's how I
Yeah.
think of level 3 for the HSA, because level 2 is awesome. Level 1 is great. But level 3 is for the people that road trip to Nebraska and they just get a kick out of it. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about what it takes. And I would say you should only consider this if your circumstances line up and you are the type of person that has what it takes or enjoys
Mhm.
Nebraska, whichever you prefer.
Yes. So let's try to set the stage because this can be really effective. Because remember, I was talking about having tax-free distributions in the future is such a valuable lever to be able to pull. We call it the shadow Roth IRA strategy. Not that your HSA is a Roth IRA, but let's get there. So you put money in to an HSA, you max it out, you get the deduction. So great. Now you are investing it. You're not going to touch it because you want to maximize the tax-free growth. That's the mentality. So we've got level 1, level 2 already in place. Now you have decided, okay, I want to max the value of tax-free growth and tax-free distribution in my personal plan is so valuable um, that exceeds me, using it to pay medical expenses right now. So I am then going to go to my bank account, and when I go to the functional doc, I'm going to pay them from my bank account or my money market, and I am going to keep that receipt. Not in paper, because I don't want to touch something toxic or keep it in a box and receipts fade, but I'm going to get a digital receipt
Yep. And
for
not
this expense.
Yep, and not only am I going to get a digital receipt, but I'm going to have a vault that is a digital vault that is consistent over time, right? I am going to organize and name these receipts in a very findable manner such that if I'm accessing this receipt in 5, 10, 20, 30 years, I I can find it and I know what it's about. The reason we're saying all this stuff is just to say up front, currently under the current tax code, with no current knowledge that this might be changing, the IRS allows receipts for medical care to time travel, if you will. Meaning, if you choose to pay for a qualified medical expense out of pocket right now and you save that receipt, you can reimburse yourself in a later year, currently with no time limits, from your health savings account. So I spend $1,000 now on a medical procedure. I pay for that out of pocket. I save the receipt. In 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, I can leverage that receipt with the knowledge and help from my CPA to say, I would like that $1,000 out of my health savings account now. And the trick here is because it is for a qualified medical expense from 30 years ago, that money does not, that you draw out in 30 years does not have to be used for medical expenses because it is a reimbursement for a qualified medical expense.
So just imagine yourself, you've paid thousands of dollars of medical expenses, over your lifetime from your bank account. You've kept the digital receipts, you have them organized, you've worked with a CPA, and let's say 20 years later, you are reimbursing yourself. And let's just think about a scenario. There's so many scenarios where, man, this year I really don't want to go over the healthcare premium limits. I really don't want to go over this certain tax bracket. I really don't, I want to control my income, which everyone wants to control their income in retirement or early retirement. I want to stay below these thresholds. You know what? This year, because I'm so close, I don't want to go over because I don't want to pay more taxes. I'm going to make a reimbursement to myself from my HSA and receive tax-free income.
Yep. Yeah, actually to even go into that a little bit farther, I think the early retirement use case here is particularly salient because when you're in early retirement, we'll just say pre-59 and a half, that you don't have penalty-free access to a Roth IRA, which would be your other tax, typical kind of tax-free distribution bucket. So you're 55 years old, you're on the ACA marketplace for health insurance. Currently, for most people, there's a large gap between premiums you would pay if your modified adjusted gross income is above a certain level versus below. There's cliff subsidies that were reintroduced in 2026. You're 55, you want to pay less for healthcare, you need less income. You can only draw so much out of your taxable account if there are gains. Without exceeding that income limit. You don't necessarily want to draw down your bank account, or maybe your bank account already is drawn down. Suddenly the health savings account is a critical lever for you to either just draw income for yourself while keeping that, healthcare deduction because you need to keep your income below a threshold, or it's just enabling you to accelerate goals. You're not having to say no to an opportunity that you want to take because you have this tax-free distribution lever. So I know we're getting really wonky here, and maybe we're losing you, but I think what you said up front about how tax-free distributions are such a valuable lever in a plan, this is a way for an ultra-organized person to open up a new spigot for tax-free distributions.
Right. And we're getting into planning here because we're planners and this is what we do. But, when you get into those later years and you're not just accumulating wealth, you're distributing it, you're taking it out, you only have the buckets you've built up. You only have the levers that you have built up to pull and utilize. And so let's say, maybe you even haven't been working with us and now, oh, my RMD is this, it's already putting me in this tax bracket, and my pension is this, putting me in this tax bracket, my social security, my income sources that I have to take out are already putting me here. How, and I don't want to go up another level. Where do I pull from? And yeah, my Roth IRA is locked up because I'm under that age limit. All of these other levers aren't available, so it's just having a Swiss Army knife.
Yep, 100%. And lest you walk away from this episode, start saving receipts, and then start chucking them at your CPA in 5 years, let me reiterate, this needs to have CPA buy-in. You should do exactly how they tell you to do it because they're the ones that are going to help represent you to the IRS. And you need to document it accordingly. Even hanging on to like credit card statements is like a wise use. So again, this is really for an optimizer. Like you don't want to do this halfway because here's the penalty. If you take a distribution and you can't substantiate it, like either, you plus your CPA, the amount that you withdraw is not only subject to ordinary income tax, but it also is subject to a 20% penalty, which is steep. So if you're going to do this, do it right.
Yeah. Yep. You can't go halfway here. You have to have proof of payment. You need to be extremely organized and in lockstep with a CPA on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, but that said, Shadow Roth IRA, that's a marketing name for it. It's not a technical name, but it's a strategy that some of our clients are using, and it is advanced planning. So advanced planning is what we like to do.
it's fun to talk about too. Who is your financial advisor bringing this kind of strategy into your meetings with you, or anything else that we talk about in these podcasts. I mean, this is why we have these podcasts. It's not because I want to become a podcaster. I'm barely comfortable with YouTube video. It really makes me uncomfortable. And we used to just be able to wear, well, I guess I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but
You used to be able
anyhow.
to slouch a lot more.
Yeah. So it's not big. I am not a podcaster, and Ben's voice is great for it. And I'm just kind of here. But we do this because one, we want to reach people to help them level up their planning. And two, some people can't work with us. And so we want to bring, ideas to the table for them. And even within our own client base too, sometimes we don't have time in a meeting to talk about, everything in depth. So it's nice to send an episode on a specific topic, but we really just want to get information out there for people who, a lot of people just feel, man, I'm on the precipice of doing something, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so this is just one of those fun strategies that, yeah, I mean, level 3, right? There's so much to be done on level 1 and level 2 as well, but this is something that, a piece in the overall financial plan that can be utilized to its maximum.
Yeah. Awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in talking more about this for yourself personally with us, we're happy to get that conversation scheduled. You can reach out via our website. But like you said, Allison, we're just happy to bring ideas to the table and believe that good ideas spread well, just help everybody do better. So